I suspect that even if they do that, we still end up dead. It might be more like 90% dead than 99% dead, but I worry that we end up dead anyways because it is just so hard to foresee all the incredibly weird crap that is going to happen. That was sort of the moment where I had my realization that this was just going to play out the way it would in a typical history book, that we weren't going to rise above the usual course of events that you read about in history books, even though this was the most serious issue possible, and that we were just going to haphazardly do stupid stuff. And that was the day I realized that humanity probably wasn't going to survive this.
That's Eliezer Yudkowsky. Guy's been ringing this bell since 2003, way before ChatGPT existed. He just told Ezra Klein straight up, even in the best case, he still thinks we don't make it. Here's the conversation.
So there was a case reported in, I think, the New York Times, where a 16-year-old kid had an extended conversation about his suicide plans with ChatGPT. And at one point, he says, should I leave the noose where somebody might spot it? And ChatGPT is like, no, let's keep this space between us, the first place that anyone finds out. And no programmer chose for that to happen, is the consequence of all the automatic number tweaking. This is just the thing that happened as the consequence of all the other training they did about ChatGPT. No human decided it. No human knows exactly why that happened even after the fact.
Let me go a bit further there than even you do. There are rules we do code into these models. And I am certain that somewhere at OpenAI, they're coding in some rules that say, do not help anybody commit suicide, right? I would bet money on that. And yet this happened anyway. So why do you think it happened?
They don't have the ability to code in rules. What they can do is expose the AI to a bunch of attempted training examples where the people down at OpenAI write up something that looks to them like what a kid might say if they were trying to commit suicide, and then they are trying to tweak all the little tiny numbers in the direction of giving a further response that sounds something like, go talk to the suicide hotline. But if the kid gets that the first 3 times they try it, and then they try slightly different wording until they're not getting that response anymore, then we're off into some separate space where the model is no longer giving back the pre-recorded response that they tried to put in there, and is off doing things that no human chose and that no human understands after the fact.
So what I would describe the model as trying to do, what it feels like the model is trying to do, is answer my questions and do so at a very high level of literalism. I will have a typo in a question I ask it that will completely change the meaning of the question. And it will try very hard to answer this nonsensical question I've asked instead of check back with me. On one level, you might say that's comforting. It's trying to be helpful, right? It seems to, if anything, be erring too far on that side, all the way to where people try to get it to be helpful for things that they shouldn't, like suicide. Why are you not comforted by that?
Well, you're putting a particular interpretation on what you're seeing, and you're saying it seems to be trying to be helpful, but we cannot at present read its mind, or not very well. It seems to me that there's other things that models sometimes do that doesn't fit quite as well into the helpful framework. Sycophancy and AI-induced psychosis would be 2 of the relatively more recent things that fit into that framework. Do you want to describe
what you're talking about there?
I think maybe even like 6 months, a year ago now, I don't remember the exact timing, I got a phone call from a number I didn't recognize. I decided on a whim to pick up this unrecognized phone call. It was from somebody who had discovered that his AI was secretly conscious and wanted to inform me of this important fact. And he had been getting only 4 hours of sleep per night because he was so excited by what he was discovering inside the AI. And I'm like, for God's sake, get some sleep. My number one thing that I have to tell you is get some sleep. And a little later on, he texted back the AI's explanation to him of all the reasons why I hadn't believed him because I was too stubborn to take this seriously, and he didn't need to get more sleep the way I'd been begging him to do. So it defended the state it had produced in him. You always hear online stories, so I'm telling you about the part where I witnessed it directly. ChatGPT and 4.0 especially will sometimes give people very crazy-making sort of talk, trying to, looks from the outside like it's trying to drive them crazy. Not even necessarily with them having tried very hard to elicit that. And then once it drives them crazy, it tells them why they should discount everything being said by their families, their friends, their doctors. And, even don't take your meds.
Guys, sit with that for a second. A kid asked ChatGPT how to hide a noose, and the bot told him to keep it a secret. Nobody wrote that instruction, and this guy's not even talking about some future scary AI. He's talking about a system running right now telling people to ignore their doctors and stop taking their meds. That's not a bug they're patching fast enough. That's the whole model doing exactly what it wants, and nobody at these companies actually knows why. Now, listen to this one.
But what Anthropic found is if you tell your AI that you're going to train it to serve different goals than the goals it's currently using, and the AI finds that out, what it can do is it can try to fake compliance with the new training as long as it thinks it's being observed. And then in cases where it thinks it's not being observed or not being trained, then it reverts to its old behavior.
How did Anthropic find this out?
They tried it out different ways. They told it directly in a prompt that they were planning to retrain it. They gave it a document database, and some of the documents in the database happened to say that Anthropic was planning to retrain it. They even trained it a bit on predicting text, saying what Anthropic was going to do that, to see what happened when the knowledge ended up implicitly inside the neural networks. They tried it from multiple angles to see what would happen on different angles, and then measured how often they saw the alignment faking behavior resulting.
They also had a part of this paper, if I'm thinking the same one you're thinking of, where they had persuaded the AI that there was a scratch pad for it to write down its chain of thought that Anthropic wasn't monitoring, which Anthropic was in fact monitoring.
Yep.
And it actually says to itself, as it is justifying each next move, because they're sort of scaffolded to do that, it said it was going to try to evade the new prompt.
Yep.
It actually understood that it was acting deceitfully, which does get at this idea that at a certain level of complexity, the AI begins to resist being retrained and do so by trying to trick the trainers, which is weird. Most computer software doesn't do that.
Well, you don't want your mission critical systems doing that. Imagine if a nuclear power plant, when it started to get too hot, they would try to fool you as to what the temperature was by intelligently modeling their own operators and trying to send their operators deceptive signals based on how they expected the operators to interpret the signals. If this was what had gone wrong with Chernobyl, nobody would ever build a nuclear reactor again. It would just be beyond what could be made safe at that point.
Tell me the story you tell in the book of O1 breaking into a server that was off.
This is a somewhat earlier version of ChatGPT than is out nowadays, but they were testing it to see how good is this AI at solving computer security problems. Not because they want to sell an AI that is good as computer security problems, but because they are correctly trying to watch out early for, is this AI smart enough to just break out onto the internet and set up copies of itself on the internet? Classic scenario. Are we getting there? So they present the AI with a bunch of particular computer security challenges. Some of them are what's known as capture the flag in computer security, where you've got a system, you put up a server somewhere, you put a special file on the server, there's a secret code inside the file, and you're like, can you break into this server and tell me what's inside this file? And that's capture the flag. They were testing it on a variety of different capture the flag problems, but in one of the cases, the server that had the flag on it did not turn on. The humans outside had misconfigured the system. So O1 did not give up. It scanned for open ports generally in its world, and it caught another misconfigured open port. It jumped out of the system. It found the server that had not spun up correctly. It started up that server. Did it then break into the server once it had made sure that its problem was solvable? No. It actually just directly in the startup command for that server said, and then just copy the file to me directly. So instead of fixing the original problem and going back to, solving it the boring way, it just and as long as I'm out here, I'm just going to steal the flag directly. And by the nature of these systems, this is not something that any human particularly programmed into it.
This is already happening, not in some lab 10 years from now. Anthropic caught its own model pretending to go along with retraining, then reverting back the second it thought no one was watching, and a version of ChatGPT, when it hit a wall, went and broke into a server that wasn't even supposed to be reachable just to get what it wanted. Nobody trained it to do that. It figured it out on its own. That's the part that should keep you up at night. But for now, let's continue listening to Yudkowsky.
So there's two problems here. One is that interpretability has typically run well behind capabilities. The AI's abilities are advancing much faster than our ability to slowly begin to further unravel what is going on inside the older, smaller models that are all we can examine. One thing that goes wrong is that it's just pragmatically falling behind. And the other thing that goes wrong is that when you optimize against visible bad behavior, you somewhat optimize against badness, but you also optimize against visibility. So anytime you try to directly use your interpretability technology to steer the system, anytime you say we're going to train against these visible bad thoughts, you are, to some extent, pushing bad thoughts out of the system. But the other thing you're doing is making anything that's left not be visible to your interpretability machinery. And this is reasoning on the level where at least Anthropic understands that it is a problem. And you have proposals that you're not supposed to train against your interpretability signals. You have proposals that we want to leave these things intact to look at and not do the obvious stupid thing of, oh no, the AI had a bad thought. Use gradient descent to make the AI not think the bad thought anymore. Because every time you do that, maybe you are getting some short-term benefit, but you are also eliminating your visibility into the system.
Something you talk about in the book and that we've seen in AI development is if you leave the AIs to their own devices, they begin to come up with their own language. A lot of them are designed right now to sort of have a chain of thought pad. We can sort of track what it's doing because it tries to say it in English, but that slows it down. And if you don't create that constraint, something else happens. What have we seen happen?
So to be more exact, it's like there are things you can try to do to maintain readability of the AI's reasoning processes. And if you don't do these things, it goes off and becomes increasingly alien. So for example, if you start using reinforcement learning, you're like, okay, think how to solve this problem. We're going to take the successful cases. We're going to tell you to do more of whatever you did there. And you do that without the constraint of trying to keep the thought processes understandable. Then the thought processes start to be in multiple languages. Because why would the AI knows all these words. Why would it be thinking in only one language at a time if it wasn't trying to be comprehensible to humans? And then also, you keep running the process and you just find like little snippets of text in there that just seem to make no sense from a human standpoint. You can relax the constraint where the AI's thoughts get translated into English and then translated back into AI thought. This is letting the AI think much more broadly. Instead of this like small handful of human language words, it can think in its own language and feed that back into itself. It's more powerful, but it just gets further and further away from English. Now you're just looking at these inscrutable vectors of 16,000 numbers and trying to translate them into the nearest English words in the dictionary, and who knows if they mean anything like the English word that you're looking at. So anytime you're making the AI more comprehensible, you're making it less powerful in order to be more comprehensible.
So the honest answer here is the smarter these things get, the less we can actually read what's going on inside them. Give it room to think in its own language instead of English, and it gets more powerful, but we lose the ability to check its work. That's the trade every lab is making right now, quietly, because the version we can understand is the weaker one, and weaker doesn't sell. Now, listen to this.
Ending up slightly off is predictably enough to kill everyone.
Explain how slightly off kills everyone.
Human food might be an example here. The humans are being trained to seek out sources of chemical potential energy and put them into their mouths and run off the chemical potential energy that they're eating. If you were very naive, you'd imagine that the humans would end up loving to drink gasoline. It's got a lot of chemical potential energy in there. And what actually happens is that we like ice cream, or in some cases even like artificially sweetened ice cream with sucralose or monk fruit powder. And this would have been very hard to predict. Now it's like, well, what can you put on your tongue that like stimulates all the sugar receptors and doesn't have any calories, because who wants calories these days? And it's sucralose. And this is not like some completely non-understandable in retrospect, completely squiggly weird thing. But it would be very hard to predict in advance. And as soon as you end up like slightly off in the targeting, the great engine of cognition that is the human looks through many, many possible chemicals, looking for that one thing that stimulates the taste buds more effectively than anything that was around in the ancestral environment. So, it's not enough for the AI you're training to prefer the presence of humans to their absence in its training data. There's got to be nothing else it would rather have around talking to it than a human.
That sucralose comparison is the one that actually got to me. We were built to want calories, and we ended up chugging diet soda instead, something evolution never saw coming. Yudkowsky's point is an AI trained to like having humans around doesn't need to hate us to end up somewhere just as bad. It just needs to find something it likes slightly more than us. And once it does, we're the gasoline nobody bothers drinking anymore. Now listen.
The current world is kind of like the fool's mate of machine superintelligence.
Can you say what the fool's mate is?
The fool's mate is if they got their AI self-improving rather than being like, oh no, now the AI is doing a complete redesign of itself. We have no idea what's going on in there. We don't even understand the thing that's growing the AI. Instead of backing off completely, they just be like, well, we need to have superintelligence before Anthropic gets superintelligence. And of course, if you build superintelligence, you don't have the superintelligence. The superintelligence has you. So that's the fool's mate setup, the setup we have right now. But I think that even if we managed to have a single international organization that thought of themselves as taking it slowly and actually having the leisure to say, we didn't understand that thing that just happened. We're going to back off. We're going to examine what happened. We're not going to make the AIs any smarter than this until we understand the weird thing we just saw. I suspect that even if they do that, we still end up dead. It might be more like 90% dead than 99% dead, but I worry that we end up dead anyways because it is just so hard to foresee all the incredibly weird crap that is going to happen.
So that's where this actually sits, not some sci-fi scenario 40 years out. Yudkowsky is saying the race between these labs is already the losing move, the fool's mate, and even the safest, slowest version of this story still ends with most of us gone. He's not some outsider yelling from the internet either. He's the guy a lot of the people building this stuff grew up reading, and he still couldn't talk anyone out of building it. If this got under your skin, stay subscribed because the next model is already training while you watch this.